I'm 19 years old and I would be graduating freshman year of college if I were going to school right now. But I don't. Less than 1 year ago, I decided that it's not worth my time, energy, resources, and money. And I can confidently say that I have less than zero interest of ever going. It's definitely not some sort of gap year situation that's happening. Because sure, if you're going to college to become a doctor, a lawyer, or the two other fields where you actually need a degree, then yeah, you need to go to college if that's what you're set on. But the reality is that 99% of people who go don't fall into that category. They fall into one of these two. The first one, where they have no idea what they want to do with life, which is why the average college student switches majors at least 3 times within the 4 years. Or the second option, where they know what they want to be doing, but they're spending 4 years learning about it when they could actually be doing it and advancing themselves and learning the skill while doing it. And the reality is that all those people, the majority of people nowadays, are choosing to still do it, not because they critically thought about it, but just because it's the default path. It's basically a box checked at birth, and there is no other decision in the entire lifespan that you'll live. There's no other decision that so many people are deciding that is so significant for 4 full years, maybe even that, without giving it a serious thought. And that's because of what your parents expect of you, society, the school system that you've been in since you were ever born. And as someone who was this close to going just because I wasn't sure what else to do, and then was able to make a switch last minute and go into tech sales, land multiple 6-figure offers before I even finished high school, it is so important for me to talk about this. Because I cannot imagine what I would be doing if I just graduated freshman year. And the number one reason for not going to college is the opportunity cost. Because beyond the tuition that you pay, share everything like that, how far can you get in 4 years if you go after something? Or even just 4 years of exploring what you want to do. And by the opportunity cost, I mean, one, sure, the income that you can make in 4 full years, even if you started super low. But also the skills, the accomplishments that you can make in 4 years when you go after something are so much beyond what you can imagine. And for me, in 1 year, I've already achieved more for a fact than I would ever in 4 years of college. And it's insane that you can say that you don't know what you want to do with your life, take a loan for thousands of dollars to just put it into school to figure out what you want to do. When in reality, if you were to take a loan like that to just start a business, go $100,000 in debt, you'd learn so much more by just doing that. And the second reason is that you can literally get paid to learn instead of paying to learn. Because for example, sales, which I'm always going to default to just because that's what I did, but any role that you're going to, when you start, you're going to learn, they're going to train you, but also as you go throughout sales, even beyond the ramp period of the first couple of months, we're going to train all the time, they're going to review my calls, and I'm going to get better by just doing it. And the entire time I'm getting paid to learn. I was able to land a role for $120K at 18 when I was still at high school. I got trained for the first 2 months, basically 3 months, and then even beyond that, every day, morning and evening, I had training for sales. And I was getting paid $120K a year on top of commissions, and obviously that's uncapped. And anything else, even if you were to be a marketer, even if you were to get a role for $50,000, you're getting paid $50,000 a year, which sure is not much, that's average in the US. But instead, if you were in school, you'd be paying that, so you'd be going negative. And you're still learning if you're doing that. If you're picking a good industry, a good role, and you can use that very easily, obviously, second, third year, you can find better roles or you can advance within that same company, eventually put that into your own business, but you're getting paid to learn instead of paying to learn. And I'm not the only one that's able to do it. I've been able to help other people do the exact same thing. One of my students, Jace, thought that he needed to get an internship because he didn't have enough experience. And in 1 month, he ended up landing an 85K role at acquisition.com, full remote, where he's learning from Alex Hermos's company. Bilal was the exact same way. He knew that he wanted to be a pilot later down the line, so law school didn't really make sense for him, so he stopped doing that, and he was able to land a $120K role in tech sales, and he's then able to use that money eventually to learn to become a pilot and those skills, but he's able to get paid to learn instead of paid to learn. And when you have no debt and you're getting paid to learn, there's just so much more that you're able to then risk, because you're not starting off at 22 being negative and just rushing. I need to get a job, whatever job I can get, just so I can start paying off the student loan debts and finish those when I'm 40 years old. And the next reason is the network and the people that you meet. That's the number one thing that people say for college. People are not even trying to say nowadays that you get a return on investment by getting a higher paying role or the education that you learn. But the number one thing that people say is the people in the network that you meet in college. And sure, you'll have that network of other people who graduated from the same school. You'll be able to message them. But at the end of the day, if you know that you are bound to achieve way more, think about the network that you can acquire if you were to just go after what you care about, pursue your dreams, your goals, whatever that is, and you're gonna meet other people doing the same thing. If you go into sales, you're gonna go and meet other people who care about sales, who probably wanna have their own business down the line, and who were able to actually go after what they care about. They had the balls to, even though what their parents said, their school system, society as a whole, they went after what they care about, and they will recognize that you do that too, because at the end of the day, that's what you feel inside that you need to do. Otherwise, you wouldn't really be watching this video at this point. You have that feeling. And when you suppress that feeling, you're going to repel the people that would be attracted to it, because you're not being authentic to yourself and what you want to go after. So you're never even going to actually meet the people that you would connect with the most and have the best experiences. You'll only be able to do that if you actually go after what you care about. And you're going to meet the people that are going to be able to achieve way more, because you have that inner voice telling you that you need to go after something, and they also have that, and you're not going to meet them if you don't go after it. And it's literally the exact same way when it comes to the personal growth, because people will say you should go there so you can move out for the first time, go to a new city, and then you'll just learn more. I grew up from all the experiences throughout college, and the reality is that if you're talking about partying, you can do that for much cheaper and just get a role and decide to party on the weekend, which I would not recommend you do, to be honest. That's not what's best for you. But at the end of the day, when you pursue everything that I just talked about, think about the personal growth that's going to happen to you as a person. One, whatever role you do, there's going to be so much things that will apply. Like whatever role you're thinking of, whatever industry you want to go into, there's going to be so many things that are going to apply to everything. From sales, I learned how to talk to people. That is the most important skill in the world, hands down. Communicating with people. Communicating with myself too, but with colleagues, with prospects, and persuading them to actually understand what decision they need to make that's going to be the most helpful for them. And that's a skill that I'm able to then apply to everything, to talking to the camera, to being able to build my own business, to managing them. But also the growth they took for me to learn. All the hours of training that I did, reviewing my calls, doing role play with people. I'm able to then apply that again to so many different people. Like talking to the camera, like starting my own business, like having relationships with my girlfriend, and I know that I'm going to need to put effort into it. And the amount of personal growth I've made over this year is insane. I've worked 16-hour days because I truly cared about what I was doing. And I cared about being the best at it. And you learn so much when you do all of that, and you will never actually get the chance to do that when your personal growth is partying and studying for exams. And a really, really big part of this is exactly what my next point is, which is defining your own version of success. Because that's what's going to build that character of yourself, molding your life into what you want it to be. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest reasons that people don't ever end up going after what they care about is because of what other people think. Whether that be being scared of being judged or being scared of what their parents will say, but specifically when it comes to college, that will be a big one, what your parents will say. And the reality is they might want what's best for you, they might not want what's best for you. I know my parents wanted what's best for me, and they still really, really wanted me to go to college. Both of them did. My mom went as far as getting a postdoc, which is one level above getting a PhD. That's the only reason we even went to the US in the first place. So it was a big part of their life, and they weren't really sure what I can do without it. But the reality is that if you have different versions of what success looks like to you, then even if you were to do exactly what you wanted, and you were to go to school and graduate in 4 years and eventually get a good job that's stable, would that actually be success to you? And at that point, that means that at some point in your life, you're going to need to make a decision. And that's going to be, are you going to disappoint them for a period of time? Or are you just going to disappoint yourself? And the reality is that at some point, I would hope at least at some point, everything is going to add up and you're going to go, I need to go after what I care about. Because I'm only going to live this life once. Now, you can decide to do that in 4 years after, or even a little bit more after you start working your job. Or you can go after it from the very beginning, a period of time where you just lock in. You're able to achieve something, build the character that you have within yourself, and then eventually they see that you're able to form some sort of success. They see the hard work that you put in, they see the fulfillment that you get out of it, and at that point they will decide, am I going to be willing to accept it or not? And you need to ask yourself, truly, if in a year or two from now I'm able to maybe make 6 figures, truly care about what I do, work really hard, be fulfilled doing it, is that something where they'll then accept not going to school? And if the answer is yes, then great. But if not, then what are you going to do about it? That's the next question that you should be asking yourself. And as someone who wants to one day have my own business, beyond just learning about sales by working in sales, I learned about so many different aspects of sales by working in a business. Specifically, I went to a high growth startup, so there's a ton of things to learn. Was able to, see the CEO directly talking about the things within the company that change, why they change. And I learned so much about how a company actually operates as a whole, in terms of management, motivating people, hiring people, training the people, holding them accountable, but then also when it's time to make changes, how to announce it to the people. So a lot in terms of management and culture and leadership, which you're never going to learn in a class. You need to be there to say 100%, hands down. There is no other option. But also just being able to see the people in leadership, being able to see how the CEO thinks when it's time to make very big changes in the company, when it's time to make sacrifices, just being able to test things out, knowing they're not gonna work and having the mindset where we'll make 10 new experiments a month, 90% of them are going to fail, but then if we just find one that works, it's gonna make such a big impact on us. And I learned so much about marketing just from seeing the marketing people talk, so much about customer success and fulfillment of a business, about building the product from the engineers, how that needs to be designed. And it's not about what the customers actually want, but it's actually about what they need. And again, that's within 1 year. I learned so much about it, where I can help my brother with his business and the way that he manages his people and the meetings that they have and making sure they're engaged and they want to show up to the meetings and they're enjoying it and they're having fun. And the reason I was able to learn is because I saw it firsthand and I'm able to then apply it to so many different things beyond just the sales aspect that I focused on, just by existing there. And really the very, very last point that I want to make here, and I hate to make this point to be honest, but where would I be if I went after what everybody else in my school did? Out of 150 people in my graduation class, guess how many didn't end up going to college? Just me. And yeah, it was scary for sure. But look at where I am now. Objectively, 1 year, I literally would have finished freshman year last week. I would have been probably going to a public CUNY university in New York City. It would cost me $15,000. So $15,000 less, not little money, but it's something that I had in a bank account. I would have been able to pay. My parents would probably help me out. I could pay that off pretty easily. Obviously not something I want to do. I would have gone to learn business, maybe marketing if I was smart enough, but I would have gone to learn business, general. So that means a lot of the time I would have spent learning about business, but also about music. And because I see my girlfriend now, she's starting to be an occupational therapist. So she absolutely needs a degree. But reality is she's there probably 50 hours at least putting towards school, classes, studying, probably a little bit more. And out of that 5 hours a week, she gets to actually put toward studying to be an occupational therapist, maybe 7 at most. And the 43 hours that's left, she'll learn about the history of jazz. She'll do yoga, which she enjoys, but she doesn't have an option whether she's going to do or not. She's going to learn about writing, Spanish. And when you have all of that things that you need, one, you don't get to put it towards what you actually want to learn about and get to make that choice for yourself. But you're also so distracted. Like when you focus on just one thing the entire time, so 50 hours, which is not that much time within a week, just focusing on learning the skill of sales, you're going to be so good at it by the end of the year because one, you're not doing anything else except for it, but just not having the distraction on the focus just mentally. Like you're gonna dream about sales, you're gonna think about sales, you're gonna consume sales content, and everything is all going to be done, whatever that skill is for you. And when you do that, you're gonna be so far. So yeah, I made 120K that first year. Then I got promoted actually within 5 months, where I could have made a lot more my second year. And I learned how to talk to people. I learned all those different things about the business. I learned how to interact. I learned that there's literally zero difference between adults and kids. Right? We're in the real world. After you're actually able to land a role, the degree goes out the window. Because the entire hiring strategy of the company that I went to was hiring Ivy League students who are college athletes. D1. Right, those are people that work hard, both academically and in sports. They're always going to perform like crazy, right? They're going to be super hardworking people. And the reality is that I was there at 18. I started working there one day after high school, and there was zero difference, especially after a couple months when people, where I already worked more than like the new people, then I would say there's zero difference. So it really all just becomes a matter of just finding that role and being able to do it. And I went on a rant just now, but the whole point was like, this is where I am now. With the skills that I have that nobody can take, just like literally in my mind, the money that I was able to make, that I'm now able to put towards my own business. And where would I have been if I didn't just decide to go for it and just try and give it a shot? I would have finished school, $13,000 down, meet a couple of people, but not the people that I care about, which I was able to then meet. And that's about it. I probably will still have a really bad accent where you still wouldn't really be able to understand what I'm saying. We're not sure. You might need to look at the captions every once in a while, but you're able to understand the general idea that I'm trying to put onto you. And the reality is it's all because I just went for it. So it's completely fine to not know what you want to do, but at least admit it to yourself. So I made a full video, it's like 7 minutes long, about my story and about how to find what you actually care about. So to anybody who's ambitious but doesn't know what they want to do in life, watch this video right here.